I'd like to welcome Megha Tata, who is managing director of Discovery India and South Asia. She's going to give us a real life point of view on content generation in the world of OTT, and when OTT and Tata Sky coexist, not exactly coexist, but it is a world where both options are open to us. And she is going to also, during her session, she's also going to talk about the content strategy for one of their prime upcoming ongoing shows, which is with the author Amish, and it's on the Ramayan. And before Megha starts to speak, I'll quickly share the promo for that particular show, just so that we have a context.
एक गाथा जिसे सदियां खुद दोहराती है।
राम राम नाम में पूरा विश्व समाया हुआ है।
एक गाथा जो हिंदुस्तान के दिल में नजर आती है।
Ramayana remains a living story in every Indian heart.
गाथा ये माँ सीता की, गाथा ये श्री राम की, गाथा ये रामायण की, भारत के अभिमान की। पर इस कहानी के कुछ पन्ने हैं जो खो गए हैं वक्त के फेरे में।
श्री राम को एग्जैक्टली 14 साल की वनवास क्यों हुई?
अब वक्त है उन्हें रोशनी में लाने का।
What we found in there was a sign which resembles the most modern spacecraft.
अब वक्त है रामायण के अनसुने रहस्य सुनाने का।
क्या इन पत्थरों से हुआ था राम सेतु का निर्माण? चारों भाइयों की एक सबसे बड़ी बहन थी, बट वेयर डिड शी गो?
जानिए रामायण के रहस्य। अ डिस्कवरी प्लस ओरिजिनल लेजेंड्स ऑफ द रामायण विद अमीश। अभी देखिए डिस्कवरी प्लस ऐप पर।
Okay, thank you, Megha. Thank you so much for joining us. Discovery is, I guess, an iconic part of our lives, really. And those of us who, I would admittedly say, of a certain vintage, have grown up seeing Discovery on cable TV, no doubt. But now we just ran a promo where it said, go to the app and you will be able to do what you want, discover the program on the Discovery app. So with that, I'd like to start the conversation with you, Megha. In this world of OTT, come cable, come cinema halls, come everything, how are you really planning the marketing and content placement of your own content so that it reaches people in the best way?
Well, thanks, Parul, first of all, for inviting me on this forum. And hello, everyone. It's lovely to be here. And I was listening to the previous conversation, was very intrigued by what's been spoken in the new age world we are all entering into, as we all know. And so hence, to your point, to your question, Parul, I think that's where the dichotomy of the new age existence lies in our ecosystem. We have realized that, the world is changing. And so is the content habits and the content consumption habits, of course. But I also, India is one of the few countries in the world, I would say, wherein, it is not an either or world. It is an and world. Both the traditional ecosystem or the traditional mediums are also growing, like television is growing, and so is the digital consumption. So I think there is a coexistence which can happen in our world, at least in India, and we're seeing that happen every day. So how one sort of works around it and is a fact that you've got to be able to be where the consumer is. That is the bottom line. If consumer wants to be watching you on television, we need to be providing them content there. Whether they are in digital, we need to be providing there. I was just hearing about the podcast part. You need to be there. So wherever there is a consumer, you need to provide them. Consumer is God at the end of it. They are making the choices and they're spoiled for choices. So if you're not able to provide them where they want to see, what they want to see at the time they want to see, you're going to have a very challenging time to, have a business which exists. So for us as well, Discovery, and now, of course, we have Warner Brothers Discovery, as you may know. So as an organization, we are very, cognizant of the fact that we need to be providing content in all platforms. And that's how we go about in planning. So whether there is no, you can't be on either. I mean, there has to be a way to balance it. But what comes where is a business call you take on a day-to-day basis. So for me, it is more about ability to deliver content wherever the consumer wants it at whenever he or she wants it. So that's how we, by and large, try to work our business as well.
Thank you, Megha. Before I ask you the second question, a quick correction. Megha's correct designation is Managing Director, South Asia, Warner Brothers Discovery. My mistake. Of course, as we all know, it's CNN as well is also under Warner Brothers, as is Discovery. Megha, my next question to you is that during COVID, the OTT, the way it really took off, and now there's a kind of a rationalization taking place. In a way, some platforms have seen their numbers rationalized, and they are considering all kinds of payment models to boost up revenue. Given all those developments in mind, and given that Discovery is a publisher of very high quality content, this is highly editorial content that Discovery does. Keeping that in mind, do you think how do you think you'll be evolving your content strategy for India?
There are, I say this pretty often, there are many Indias within India. So there is no one size which fits all. And just like I said, not only is the consumer the king, she also or he also decides what kind of content they would like to watch, because they have the freedom and the ability and the technology today to do that, unlike, say, maybe 2 decades ago, where there was not much choice. Whatever you provide, they had to consume. Today, they have a choice and they're spoiled for choice. So I think for businesses, by and large, and not just us, but across every ecosystem, every set of audiences need to get catered for. And you need to, as a business, you need to decide what's your cohort, what is your focus area, where is your business model, where is the USP you bring to the table, is what every business decides. And to me, I think in this crazy competitive world, and while linear has something like 800 channels you're competing with, even OTT today you're talking to about 45 platforms. So it's a very competitive environment. So I think it is the differentiation of content which will play out, Parul. Even when we launched Discovery Plus, one of the key differentiating factor we brought to the table, and we came at a time when there were already 30 plus players in the market. But one of the key things we realized was that everyone was fighting the fiction war. Everyone was fighting the fiction entertainment game, right? But there was no platform like ours. We created the nonfiction or the reality television or the real life entertainment content in a large platform like ours. When we bring that kind of pedigree, where you have something like 300,000 hours of content available, global content, it's an amazing opportunity for consumers to sample that. And you Indianize it, you really make it more relatable by obviously bringing it into the languages of their choice. So today we are available in 8 languages, and that makes it so much more relatable for the audiences sitting across any part of the country. But to make that a bit more nuanced and make it a bit more sort of relatable, further deepening a connection with the Indian audiences, we started launching our original content piece, which is obviously doing really well. And one of the shows you just shared was Legends of Ramayana, which is of course doing extremely well. It's our sleeper hit as we speak. We also felt very consciously that, how do we create this business model? So while we are a very SWOT proposition, skewed towards SWOT, where it's a subscriber paid model. And after many years, subscriber is ready to pay for content, it's a dream we as industry professionals, we've been wanting for very long. So finally, the consumer is paying for content. So that is our focus. But it is going to be a balance. The advertising model is of course, ideally, it's best to have both, but the economics of that also needs to work, because we've also seen some of the award players struggling over in the advertising growth ecosystem, because it's a challenge. So I think it's a combination of the two and the balancing of the two, which probably would be an ideal world scenario.
That's really interesting. What kind of branded opportunities, and I'm going to come back more to this question later, but what kind of, given the subscription model is finally people are like sort of saying, okay, I'll grudgingly or however, but I'll reach into my pocket and pay up. So I have two, three parts to this question. Firstly, that what do you think about the ad-based model, and what kind of opportunities do you think it offers brands to be on the kind of content that Discovery provides? The second part of the question is, I don't know if it is directly related, but the kind of bundling that Amazon Video does, subscribe separately to Hayu or to Lionsgate, that kind of bundling approach. What is your opinion on? Not asking for your opinion on Prime, Amazon Prime, but this kind of bundling approach. So these two questions I have for you.
Yeah. I mean, on the bundling piece, Parul, of course, it is, and that is how the business models. I mean, that's how that is the new world way. To be honest, bundling will be a part of the proposition to grow our subscriber base. And so hence, whether it is with platforms like Geo or PVC, which is the Prime Video channel. So, there are different platforms we are looking at partnerships. So, back-end partnership integration and bundling is definitely a play which every OTT platform is doing and will do. And this is nothing new. It's not true only to India. It happens globally, and that is the way the B2B tie-ups sort of plays out. So while D2C continues to be a key focus for most of the OTT platform, partnerships and on the B2B front are also that much more critical. So both are important. As far as advertising is concerned, I think, like I mentioned earlier as well, it's a tough play. It's not an easy play, because like, for example, for us, our advertising growth still is coming from our traditional business, which is linear television. OTT is an interesting play for advertising, but it's a different game, where you're competing with large mass players. It becomes a little, it's a very difficult environment to bring in that kind of competitive edge, so to speak, because we are a very special interest proposition. Having said that, I think what really would work, just like how it worked in television for us, is the branded content play. So a lot of content which we put together on our television network, and we are probably one of the top players in the market who brings the award-winning content for our brand. So brand integration and brand solution is really evolved over the last few years, and I'm proud to say that we had a big role to play in that, and that to me is a proposition or an opportunity as well for the OTT play too. So I think if we can just evaluate the platforms outside of the pure play advertising, which is the vanilla advertising, and see this as a more integrated play and on the platform, I think there are opportunities for sure.
That's very interesting. In fact, yesterday I was watching Guilty Minds on Amazon Video, and there's a lot of not so subtle but sweetly done integration of Alexa. So I thought that was it was done nicely. It was not like here's an ad or the famous scan of billboards which you see in Bollywood scenes and maybe even Jandubam, but it was nicely done. Coming to the feature that you're doing with Amish, I think it's really very intelligent, and I definitely look forward to catching it because it's like what you said. It is real life content about a story which has absolutely very deep appeal for Indians. Yet it's a modernish uptake. It's almost like something like maybe a Rick Riordan has done with Greek mythology and other writers are doing, and you've kind of giving it a modern twist. So, given that in mind, what kind of channels are you pursuing for its telecast or airing? I don't know what is the right word for it. Streaming.
Streaming, we're bringing it to our consumer. That's, like I said, wherever the consumer is, we want to take our content there. So currently, of course, it's streaming on Discovery Plus. We launched it. It's a 3-episoder. And like you rightly said, I mean, Ramayana is an epic. We all know about Ramayana. I mean, it's like Amish said in one interaction that, Rarely would you find anybody who's not heard about Ramayana, irrespective of the religion they represent. So I think while Ramayana is deep rooted in our country, and where the origins of it and the story of it, I think the way this show has brought about an intrigue and the revelatory aspect of and we've taken Ramayana, like addressed Ramayana like a travelogue. It's like so it's a new age lens and a discovery lens of an age old epic. So that combination, I think, has connected really well with our audiences, and we're getting so much love from them, which is we're really humbled with that. And it just has brought two things in my view. One is, of course, the contemporization of an age old epic. And the second is bringing it closer to the younger generation. So while a lot of people in the older generation may know about it, maybe even the younger one do, but the way it has been portrayed has sort of played out really well, and of course it's doing extremely well. And of course we have a lot of marketing and PR planned behind it. Amish is a great orator. Like we were joking, he surely has a second career handy in case he decides to not be an author. He's done a fantastic job. I don't know if you've seen the show, but if you haven't, I urge you to. Not because it's on Discovery Plus, but just I genuinely feel it's a fantastic show, which has really come out really well. And so yeah, because there's a lot of push behind it, and it's getting all the love it deserves. And I think what we try to do out of this show is that, Discovery, of course, has been known for a lot of adventure content and a lot of military content, and, that space, which is something which we've been doing. But we also know, the plus of Discovery Plus gave us an opportunity to explore different genres. And we did. And, whether it is a high profile celebrity food show like Star versus Food, which did extremely well for us as well, or a martial arts show with Vidyut Jamwal, called India's Ultimate Warrior, or the investigative content we've been doing, whether it's Dangles of Crime or Money Mafia, and now this mythological docu-series called Legends of Ramayana. We're just delving in different spaces. So, we have the platform, fortunately, to explore and bring into our Indian audiences. People love their fiction fix. We all love it. Even I do. We all want our fiction fix. Absolutely. But it doesn't mean that content like this, there is no audience for that. And that is what Discovery Plus has proven, that there is an audience to consume content like this if you provide them what they want. Like I said, it's an and proposition. We're a complementary play. You can watch your fiction content, but you would also like to watch content like what is provided by Discovery Plus. And that's why shows like Legends of Ramayana and many such shows are doing extremely well on our platform.
I have one or two final questions before we throw it open. The audience can start sharing their questions in the chat box. We can take a couple of questions in a bit. Megha, my next question really is that, of course, the Ramayana property is your marquee property. Can you give us an example of another show, or you, of course, just mentioned some, but overall, could you help us understand through another example of how content is being spread across various platforms, Discovery content?
Oh, yeah. I mean, see, for example, our marquee franchise called Into the Wild, right? It came into a mass platform when we, of course, had our Prime Minister Modi come with Bear Grylls onto that show. And that, of course, created a lot of noise and audiences for us. So, in fact, that time, our channel, Discovery Linear, became the #1 channel in the country that day, beating all the big GCs, So that clearly tells that, differentiated content speaks louder than the words, so to speak. So I think that well got us really upfront, and then we been able to bring a lot. That gave us the confidence, really, Parul, to bring in, say, okay, let's invest in a bit more aggressively in our original content. And then we had Rajnikant, then we had Akshay Kumar, and Vicky Kaushal, and all these big names which started coming into our platform, which of course created that audience connection. But then we with these different genres we started playing, we realized that it both have a way to play out on linear as well as on the digital platform. So there are sometimes we do, for example, into shows, some of the Into the Wilds we did an exclusive on Discovery Plus for a period of time before it came onto television. And sometimes we've done shows like, say, India's Ultimate Warrior, which was like almost simultaneously aired together, right? But now, say, Legends of Ramayana is on Discovery Plus exclusive for some time before at some point it comes on to television. So these are business calls you take, but the beauty is that you're creating content which has the capability to reside on both the platforms. And that is the advantage of playing with the linear and digital. And that's something I think we definitely find value, because it plays to the advertisers' need as well as to the subscribers' needs.
Will we see the Ramayana series as a special theatre release with the special prizes for children, perhaps in the summer?
Now that's a point. Let me ponder.
I can understand why you would not like to say right now. So, Megha, this has been a wonderful example. Before I let you go, one final question. You talked about how it can't be the same vanilla old school advertising on shows like Discovery. What would you think would be good features of a good branded partnership?
Oh, I'll need another show to do that with you, Parul, because it is like we have so many examples, whether it is shows about startups or, we did a fantastic show with Jeep where we actually took went up to the Ladakh terrain, and where we drove with the Jeep inside. So this is not about just how do I call it, like a classic product placement thing. No, it's very integrated to the brand proposition, which is why so many brand managers and CMOs love what we bring to the table. And the proof of the pudding is that they keep coming back. And I think, to me, as I've been a salesperson, and I know a first sale is easy relatively. But if a client comes back to you, that means you've done your job well, right? So you've worked with a client based on, you've been able to provide the brand or the client a genuine partnership onto the table, not just like I've done one deal and got some money in the bank, right? So when you see the repetition of that content happening, I think one of our biggest success examples is with Byju's. When we do the Byju's Discovery School Super League. It's one of the biggest franchises for us, reaching thousands of lakhs of students in thousands of schools across the country. And we're back. They've been with us for the last 3 seasons, and now we're going to be back for the 4th. That just talks about how you integrate the brand into the product and the brand and the program. So that's something we do extremely well, and happy to share more examples. But I'm sure you wouldn't have that much time, but that is what we really take pride in, of the brand solutions propositions we bring for our clients.